Shout out Bruce Gas, aka Toka 2. You know I had to drop a track with my boy.
Where you at?
Yeah, I've been here rapping boys out telling favors. I'm the hardest nigga, I ain't signed to no label. Hey, Bruce Gas putting no fights on the table. Calling that boxing since Kane versus Abel. Smoking so much gas, you would think that shit was fatal. All the people champion like Muhammad Ali. Shut up, Bruce Gas. One day we gon' meet. Yeah, we gon' blow it down. We gon' smoke hella weed. Yeah, we gon' blow it down. Take a hit out the Toka 2. Slipping hella shots. Feel like Tyson with the people. Little Glock on my side, but it hit just like the crew. Shut up, man. Chat real shit. That's my fucking dude. We always cooking on the panel. Strapped to my side, I ain't talking about no sin. Bruce pass me the blunt, I'ma light it like a candle. Ayy, non-stop bars, man, I always spit flames. Feel like Bruce Gas always got a different strain. If you ain't like me, you can never feel my pain. You win and you lose, well, this a fight game. Don't beef on the net and the shit won't change. Said that on the street, you gotta do it for the game. Said that on the street, you gotta do it for the chat. I ain't undisputed. Yeah, hold on, I ain't undisputed, but I want all the straps.
Salute everybody, one and all. Thank you much for coming by. This is Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and make sure that music isn't too loud in the background. Just a little royalty-free jazz I found on the internet that I can play away without getting in any kind of strike marks against me or anything, man. Welcome to Friday night, February 2nd, 2024. I see Mr. Pads came in here and was in there at 5:42, man. I hope you're still here, Mr. Pads. Shout out my brother. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, bro. Appreciate you for coming in here, man. My brother Skywalker Boxing. Shout out, my man. Seen and unseen, bro. Salute to you, bro. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Curtis Anderson, a man of my same last name, no relation to my understanding. Seen and unseen, shout out, man. Demetrius Bright, my brother. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for coming by. My brother Just Do, man. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you cats just coming in here, man. Just to let YouTube know that we haven't forgotten Curtis Anderson, man. You know, because I certainly haven't, man. I remember the day that he died 2 years ago. You know, I got a text from somebody that I'm not friendly with now, but I was friendly with at the time, and it was like it was stunning. We kind of expected Curtis to pass because he had diabetes. He was in the hospital a lot. And, you could hear it in his voice. You could hear he had good days and bad days, but you could hear more bad days. It's like the disease was taking over, and it was damn. It hit me like the death of my dad, of Muhammad Ali, of Marvin Hagler. It was like, not I accept death, man, because we've all been dealt that card. We were born on a day, and we're gonna die on a day, and that's the way it goes, bro. I mean, there ain't nobody getting out of here alive. And Curtis was, I think he left too soon. He was only in his 50s, and I mean, he was truly a wealth of knowledge when it came to boxing. But not only that, bro. I mean, not only boxing, he was also immersed in music and in other sports and fine dining and movies. I mean, the dude just was he had an amazing mind, and he also was very, very friendly and just he made you feel like you were the most important person in that room. And really, man, he didn't flaunt what he knew. It was matter of factly. In fact, the way the how he got that nickname, Kurt Sugar. He told me, Angel Diaz, my brother. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming by. Skywalker on the Facebook also, bro, man. I've been trying out the Facebook lately, get a little bit of a little dual coverage. Because right now I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on YouTube, my home over here. But I've been a member of Facebook since the early 2000s, since it first came out, and then I got away from it. But some of my brothers on here, they said, no, man, you gotta get on these other platforms and get on as many as you can. So, hey, my brother Kenneth Johnson, man, shout out to you, man. Shadow 979, thank you, cats, for coming by, bro. Appreciate it much. So I kind of branched out a little bit, maybe get a few more people to see what's going on. And I found out on Facebook, I'm connecting with a lot of people in the fight game, a lot of retired fighters, current fighters, man. And it's cool. And I'm going to get some of these cats to come on here and talk to us and share a little bit of the history of boxing. Because, man, if you don't know the history of boxing, you're gonna have a tough time navigating the future, especially now as crazy as it is, man. I mean, just in the last couple of days, all the different curveballs have been tossed at us. But let me start this how I usually do. I've got this little Tokatu here, clean as a whistle, and I got something in here called Red Runts, and this is all totally legal. And I live in the state of Rhode Island, which is a user-friendly state. Recreational marijuana is legal. And plus, I have a medical card, so I don't break any laws anymore, man. I lived my whole life on the opposite side of the law, being nervous every time I was in touch with a policeman or a constable. But that's a past life. That's all in the past. Life has changed a lot. Let me get myself right here. We can talk about a little bit of boxing today. Very relaxing. Very relaxing. It's kind of like when you talk to Curtis Anderson. It was very, very relaxing. And I was explaining how he got that name. Because he told me he used to do they had trivia contests, and it wasn't like these internet trivias now that you have. You see it if it's not answered quickly, then somebody's Googling it or asking Alexis. But he was doing this. He was doing this pretty much before the days of the internet. It was a radio program in New York, and I think it was Bert Sugar himself that was the MC, and he was just blowing them off. I mean, trivia. Curtis Anderson and trivia. Excuse me for a second. Blow this schnoz here. I got these dollar store Kleenex. You got to be careful with these, man. You may have a blowout with the suckers, but they're doing the job. But yeah, man, Curtis was he was blowing them away on the trivia, and they said to him, "Come on, man, what do you got? You got somebody looking up the answers for you?" And there was no way that this was before Googling. So he got he would win the contest every week. And Bert Sugar said, I'm going to call you Kurt Sugar. And, he got that name. He was given one of Bert's cigars. And, the name stuck, aptly so. We know him as Curtis Anderson, his G name, or Kurt Sugar. The name that he ran around in on this YouTube streets. And, we all have our own little handles on here, but his was so apt. And it would have been a great time for him to be around now, especially on this day, because I like to talk about what happened on this day, the boxing similarities and the history on this day. Let's start in 1970. Carlos Zarate debuts on this day. If you didn't know who Carlos Zarate is, man, he was a Mexican knockout artist. He had a record of, I don't know, man, it was, hey, my brother, Crush the Legend, the Jazz Man. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you much for coming by, brother. But Carlos Zarate was a knockout puncher in Mexico. He was the before he was before Salvador Sanchez, Lupe Pintor. I mean, this was back in the 70s, and Carlos Zarate was knocking everybody. I think he had a record of something like 52-0 with 51 knockouts. I mean, he was that good. He was that deadly. Anyway, he made his debut in 1970 today, at the age of 19. Another great Mexican fighter today, man. Another fight that happened today on this day in 1980, and I remember the fight like it was yesterday. It was Salvador Sanchez against Danny Little Red Lopez for the WBC featherweight title. And Danny Little Red Lopez, man, he was knocking out everybody in that around that time. Throughout the 70s, the featherweight division was big. You were watching it on ABC's Wide World of Sports and CBS Sports Spectacular and NBC Sports World. This is before the cable came into existence. And an afternoon darling was Danny Little Red Lopez, the guy who would get knocked on his ass, come back with that big right hand and save the day. And on this day, February 2nd in 1980, I remember there was snow all over the place, and this was an afternoon fight. We were expecting Danny Little Red Lopez to once again prevail, but man, no, this was the birth of Salvador Sanchez. I mean, Salvador was a fantastic fighter, man. Died at 23 years old. He's 21 years old when he won the title, and this was the beginning of an era, the aura of Salvador Sanchez. We still talk about him today, man. He beat the legendary Danny Little Red Lopez on this day. It was a 13th round TKO. Danny Little Red Lopez got beat up bad. Never thought we'd see it. The rematch, pretty much the same thing happened. But on this day, man, Salvador Sanchez, Davey Moore, the WBA junior middleweight champion of the early 80s. You know, Davey Moore, the man who Roberto Duran knocked out to redeem himself. But anyway, this was the day that Davey Moore debuted. I'm sorry, this was the day that Davey Moore won his WBA junior middleweight title from Tadish Mahara. And like I said, man, Davey Moore went on to, everybody predicted great things from him. He was supposed to walk over Roberto Duran. Hey, my brother Lars Punchout, bro. Shout out to my man Lars Punchout from England, man. Great show today. Great show all the time, Lars. And, you know, you're like me, bro. We hang in there. We roll with the punches. And, bro, shout out to my man Lars D. Punchout, man. Lars was a friend of Curtis Anderson, man. So Lars can feel it. Lars has heartfelt feelings for Curtis. But, yeah, man, February 2nd, bro. Like I said, man, Davey Moore won his WBA junior middleweight title today. And he was the one that he's better known for losing to Roberto Duran than anything else. But he was a 23-year-old world champion on this day. Jeff Lacey, another one, man. Jeff Left Hook Lacey, the man who Joe Calzaghe destroyed, who we thought we were expecting great things from Jeff Lacey. He made his debut today in 2001. So, man, February 2nd is kind of a magic day in boxing. In 2002, there was a huge card on HBO, and if you cats definitely will remember this one, man. It featured Bernard Hopkins against Carl Daniels. It featured Roy Jones against Glenn Kelly, and Winky Wright was on there against Jason Papillon. And all the headliners won their fights, and this was the great days of Don King and HBO boxing. And on this day in 2005. A legend passed away, not just the legendary Curtis Anderson, but the oldest living heavyweight champion. And that was Max Schmeling. Max Schmeling, who won the title on a foul, from a low blow, and he had amazing 2 fights with Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. The first fight, he gave Joe Louis his first L. And that's why, man, you cats think an L is the end of the world, bro. Joe Louis caught that L from Max Schmeling before he became champion. Got knocked out in the 12th round because he was keeping that left jab out. When he jabbed, he wouldn't pull that left hand back fast enough. He would leave it out there. Max Schmeling, a right hand counterpuncher, boom, dropped that right hand over that lazy left. The world was shocked, but man, Joe Louis learned a lesson. He went back to Chappie Blackburn. He straightened that out, and Joe Louis met Max Schmeling again after Joe Louis had won the title. Joe Louis never thought of himself as champion until he could avenge that defeat, and avenge that defeat he did, bro. One of the most amazing one-round knockouts in boxing history, man. I don't even have to talk about that because anybody who knows their boxing would know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, man, on this day in 2005, 99-year-old Max Schmeling died. And Max Schmeling was a great friend to Joe Louis. He helped Joe Louis out financially. I don't want to neglect the chats in here too, man. I see Mr. Pads, man. Kurt reminded me a bit of someone like Bert Sugar because he knew a lot about the sport in general, not just boxing. Remember him talking about baseball? Oh yeah, bro. I mean, Curtis. I would talk to Curtis. I thought he was just a boxing aficionado. I thought he just knew everything and anything about boxing. And then I started talking music to him. Because I started talking jazz, and he's man, when you know your jazz, you know your jazz musicians. And I talk Miles, and he talk. Oh, he had Ron Carter on that bass, and yeah, and Jack DeJohnette, and we go on, and and then he'd be hip to like other musicians, man. Like he knew his hip hop and the black music that I'm not really. It's just not my thing. But he talked about Billy Joel. He dug Billy Joel, and he dug Steely Dan, and Elton John, man. I mean, he had a vast taste in music. I often thought when I first got on YouTube, because this is the guy that I kind of almost modeled, having the arrogance to get up here and speak on boxing. Because when I came on here, I didn't think I was, this wasn't my thing, coming on here and sitting before a camera and speaking boxing, bro. But he told me, he said, no, man, he said, you know your shit, bro. Get out there and start a channel, and I always wanted to have him come on my channel, but he passed away just kind of. He was real sick when I started my channel, and on this day in 2002, man, I got that text, and it was a huge loss for all of us, man, for all of us boxing fans. And man, blood boxing, I remember being on a panel. It was one of the first times I spoke to him, really, talked to him, on a panel. And it was, damn, you were on there, Blood. I think it might have been Black Star who had the panel. And Michael Johnson was on there. I remember a few years ago, World Breaker was doing a live stream on Hip Hop Man, and that was dope, man. And I don't want to miss these. I wish I could be like my brother Reggie Owens, bro. Reggie reads every one of those comments. He puts them up there. I'm going to try to do that here, man. I've been loving boxing since my amateur days back in '99. I was whooping ass, fell head over heels with the sport. But nowadays, it ain't that same feeling, man. It absolutely isn't. My brother Traveling Fools, bro. Salute, man. Thank you for stopping by, bro. Mr. Pads. I remember him saying he used to call into Art and Russ, Jay's radio. Yeah, that might be the one, bro. As a kid and talking boxing with him, and Art being super impressed with Kurt's boxing knowledge. How could you not be, bro? I mean, this man had an amazing boxing knowledge. My brother Blood Boxing is in here, man. Blood Boxing is one of my favorite guys out there. And in fact, I'm going to drop a link, man. Anybody who has any memories that they want to share of Curtis Anderson, bro, this is the time to do it. This is absolutely the time to do it, man. Because this is a memory that we don't want to let fade away in boxing. We don't want to let this cat die at all, man. we all told him when he was here how much we loved him and how much we appreciated his knowledge. And hey man, any memories of my brother, please stop up here and share them. That's anybody out there. Go down the list here, man. So yeah, man, anybody, like I said, anybody out there that would like to share any memories of Kurt. I mean, he would love what's going on in boxing today, man. You know, with with Tyson Fury pulling out of this fight in 2 weeks. I mean, and we're getting more and more information as time goes by with this pullout. People are saying that Usyk actually cut himself. Hey, my friend Blood Boxing stopping up here, bro. This is a man who was extremely close with Curtis Anderson. Big Blood, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Hold on, let me turn my Bluetooth off. Let me hold on. Sorry about that. I think I can hear you now. Go ahead. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, bro. I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I was mixed up with my Bluetooth. I'm sorry. This thing's been muting my computer or something. Yeah, man, Curtis Anderson. You know what I was telling you, man? I do have conversations with you and Kurt Anderson. I could edit it and send them to you if you want me to. Because you had quite a few conversations with Curtis Anderson on my page.
Yeah, man, and I love them, man. You know, Curtis was just he was like a almost like a soft pillow with as far as boxing goes. You know, you put your head in there, you just get so comfortable talking to that man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, he loved the sport of boxing, man, like nobody I've ever seen. You know, he knew a lot about the history. He knew a lot about the fight game today. He knew a lot about the science side of it, the technical side. He was interested in every aspect of boxing, man. And when he came onto social media, that's all he cared about was boxing. He didn't really care about nothing else. If you were talking boxing, he'll come over there, especially if you really knew what you were talking about. He'll come over and he'll hang out with me for hours and hours talking about boxing. You know, I'll do an 11-hour live stream and Curtis Anderson would be on eight of the 11 hours or something like that, just talking about the history. But you know what I always thought that was sad, man, is that he never got to see that damn fight with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Because we talked about that a whole lot, man, and he wanted to see that damn fight. Man, you know, I mean, it's sad he's gone anyways, but there's some fights I would have loved to have heard his opinion on those fights. And he always said that Terrence Crawford was going to smoke Errol Spence. He always said that.
I'd like to see what he'd be talking about today with everything that's going on in boxing. With I mean, shit, man. Just in the last few days, we've had the Keith Thurman and the Tim Tszyu fight going on. PBC's comeback card. Pitbull Cruz and the crazy man himself. Rolly Romero.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting as hell, Blood. And you know, right now we're scrambling to find somebody to come in and fill in for Tyson Fury because they still want to. So what do you think should happen with that? With that, who do you think should come in and fill in?
I think that what should happen is that Usyk should just go on with his career and fight his mandatories. He should start with Hrgovic if possible. Get rid of his mandatories and don't worry about Tyson Fury. Because Tyson Fury, man, this guy, man, he's like a loose cannon. He can never stay consistent with anything. You never know when this guy's going to really fight or not. I mean, Usyk is already 37, Bruce. We know that 37 is not young.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many more years does he got left is the question. He could maybe go till he's 40. Fighters go a little bit longer now, but he doesn't have much longer left to fulfill his legacy. He's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. He really doesn't need Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury needs a Usyk on his resume because Tyson Fury has absolutely nothing to define his legacy outside of the 3 fights with Deontay Wilder and the fight against an older Vladimir Klitschko. So at this point, Usyk shouldn't be chasing behind Tyson Fury. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, Herjavec has already volunteered to step into that fight, to fight Usyk. You know, Tyson Fury, like you said, he's got no legacy right now, man. Laws are saying out there, Fury's a fraud. People have been saying that. You know, and he's got every opportunity. He speaks in the same sentence as Muhammad Ali. He puts himself as the Mount Rushmore with Joe Louis and you know the greatest minds, the greatest faces in boxing. But yet he looks like a chump. He pulls out of this fight 2 weeks before. And you know, a lot of people are comparing this to George Foreman when he got cut at the Rumble in the Jungle. And you remember Don King? Don King made sure that George didn't leave. George wanted out of that fight. You remember that little bit of history, Blood?
I sure do.
Yeah, and you know, Don King made sure that they had guards on George. Made sure he wasn't getting on any jet plane to leave Zaire. And I don't know, man. It just kind of it cheapens the head that the belts in boxing today are cheap enough to begin with. I don't even think the belts mean much anymore. Boxers, what they're trying to achieve now is the big fight. Hey, Justin James, bros, thank you for coming by. My brother BVO Boxing, man, shout out to you, man. We're over here on the anniversary of the death 2 years ago. Curtis Anderson passed away, and you know the thing about a Curtis Anderson remembrance, it wouldn't be a Curtis Anderson remembrance if you weren't talking boxing. And you know, we're talking about what happened today in boxing, man. Christ, every day it's something else. Today, fucking Tyson Fury pulls out of the fight with Usyk, and this is a huge event for me, man. I was getting so stoked for this fight. A heavyweight, undisputed unification. I mean, for all the marbles, we haven't seen that in years, bro.
We sure haven't. We haven't seen it in the internet era. And the thing that gets me about this Tyson Fury guy is that he uses Ali's catchphrases too. I heard him one time say that if Usyk dreams of beating me, he better wake up and apologize. Now, he did say he got it from Ali, but he also said, I will beat all three of them and both of them on the same night, which is something that Ali was infamous for saying. And he'll say things similar to Ali and things like that, but he doesn't live up to it, though, man. He doesn't live up to a lot of his trash talk.
I got some other cat in the background. Hey, bro, just turn your camera on for a second so I can see you're a real person. I don't want no dick pics flat down here. Let's see that one time first. All right, bro, you're good. How you doing, brother? Who's it, BVO?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, bro, we're hanging in there, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I had to come talk some boxing with the legends, man.
What's up, man? Asiatic black man. What's good with you, my brother?
Oh, what's going on, man? My bad. Let me change that.
Asiatic, what you was on some conscious channel or something, man? God,
no, I do a boxing channel.
Hey, man, you can keep it though.
No, but I think y'all being a little bit hard on Tyson Fury, man, and the fact of we can't compare the guys now to back then because the men are different. You know, you're talking about a whole different caliber. A man born in the doggone 30s and 40s is a different type of guy than a guy like born.
That's true.
In the 80s and 90s. It's an unfair comparison, man, because life is a lot easier. I mean, just think about how Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson was training. You couldn't train like that now. You might die. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been a dog-eat-dog world, and it's not so much like that for athletes today. Athletes are pampered. You know, they get into boxing. They've already got a corporation sponsoring them, so they don't have to worry about where they're going to live, where they're going to eat. They don't have to worry about sparring partners. They're pampered athletes today. It's a whole different era. Like even go back 25, 30 years ago with Marvin Hagler, where they had to get all their shit together. You know, they just didn't have the sponsorships that they have today, where life was easy. It was harder. You had to establish yourself, on your own merits. And boxers, they just have it's totally different today. And like I was saying about the titles, titles are so fluent out there that they're not even that big an event anymore. Everybody's got a belt. If they don't have one of the major belts, which there are so many of them, they're going to have a gold belt or an interim belt or a fucking. I mean, it's just crazy. I think what a fighter makes his legacy on today is big fights. Like we want to see Canelo right now, Canelo and Bud Crawford, right? We want to see Fury and Usyk was a big fight. It wasn't so much being undisputed. Yeah, that was great, but just because we're having the two of the best heavyweights in the world fight each other, that's what makes a fight. Today, it's not like it was back in the day where you had to fight often and you had to really earn your stripes. Now it's a lot of it's based on how you're going to do against him. Speculation. That's not even worth. That fight's not even worth making because the fight not active enough. They're making too much dough, too much time in between. We're forgetting about fights. I mean, look at Keith Thurman coming off a 2.5 years inactivity, moving up to a pay-per-view main event. I mean, that's bullshit. No, it's
laughable, man.
It's laughable.
Well, the sponsorships back in the day, they only went to Olympic pedigree fighters and mostly heavyweights. So there was a few sponsorships in between, but those were like reserved for guys like Ali and Joe Frazier, who came off an Olympic gold medal, and Buster Mathis did get one, but he was supposed to rep in the Olympics, and plus he was a heavyweight. And Sugar Ray Leonard coming out of the Olympics, and it wasn't even guaranteed a sponsorship because Sugar Ray Seals, he didn't get a sponsorship. So, it just depended. Now these fighters, they get the internet to back them. So they could get a sponsorship early just based on the eye test on the internet. They don't even have to be of Olympic pedigree anymore, because we went for a period of time where there wasn't very many Americans winning Olympic gold medals anyway. And between Oscar De La Hoya and Andre Ward, how many Olympic gold medalists did we have? We had a few silver ones. Floyd Mayweather was a silver medalist. But these fighters, they have social media.
Gold, though.
That's the big thing. They have social media. And back to piggyback off of what you were saying, brother. Yeah, the men are built differently, man. The guys from the 1940s. That's why I always say you can't compare Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and these guys to Ali. Ali was born in the early 1940s. Deontay Wilder was born in the mid 1980s, right? So that's a different era, a totally different kind of man, different kind of struggle. You can't compare somebody's struggles to somebody who was born in the 1940s. It's ridiculous. And when people do it, it makes me think that they're amateurs in life altogether when they start doing stuff like that, because it just makes sense. You can't do things like that. Any fighters who were born in the 1980s and up, you just really can't compare them to the fighters from the previous era. And let's not forget, the guys like Ali and them, Jack Dempsey and them, thought those guys were soft. So every era thinks that the era that's current is softer than when they was fighting. John L. Sullivan, he thought Jack Johnson and them was soft. So it's just that's the way it always works from generation to generation.
Everybody tries to make it easier for their kids, man. So when you hear someone say, "Oh, it's not the same for it's because their parents made it easier for them." They say, as a parent, some of us are parents. You'll say, "I'm gonna make this easier for my child, so they don't have to go through it." But sometimes lessons be worth it. They give you the hunger and the fight. But just think about, I think Tyson Fury, if you think about for what he is, he's a heck of a fighter. The thing is with him, he just don't have the desire. I think he has a lot of the things that plays Ken Norton, is that he just don't want it bad enough. And, I'm a big Ken Norton fan. I feel like he beat Ali 3 times, but he just didn't want it enough. And every time it came down to the get down, he showed you he didn't want it bad enough. And I think that was with Tyson Fury, getting another version of Ken Norton, a super talented guy, big, strong guy, who can beat anybody any given day, but he just don't want it bad enough. He's really happy with beating Deontay Wilder. I mean, because say what you want, Deontay Wilder was a 10-time defender of the WBC championship. He was knocking everybody out cold, beating people to death. And Tyson Fury really went in there and gave him a boxing lesson. So he feel like he made it. That's all.
Yeah, Wilder, you know, people think I'm crazy for this, but, you know, everybody's saying Wilder should retire. But he doesn't want to retire, but yet nobody wants to see him get in the ring with Zhilei Zhang. He'd take his head off, you know. This might sound crazy, but I think a fight right now, I think it would be a good fight to make would be Deontay Wilder and Jake Paul. I think that would do it. Hey, don't laugh, bro.
Okay.
I'm saying that with a straight face, man. I think it would. First of all, Wilder's not going to get hurt. I think it would be a confidence builder. It would be interesting, and I think Wilder should retire anyway if he doesn't take a fight like this. I don't see him getting in the ring with any of the heavyweight killers out there right now. And that, you know, we were just talking about that too. That's another thing. They're all getting so old, man. Every one of those fighters that we were following for the past 7-8 years, they're still the same guys that are on top now. There's no new blood to take over at heavyweights. They're all pretty much getting beat by Father Time. And what happened to Tyson Fury in camp, I think that's a fucking indication right there, man. Because he didn't look good.
You remember, I keep telling you about this young kid out of New York, man, that you just keep ignoring. Teofimo Lopez, him and Devin Haney might save boxing, man. I'm telling you, you don't realize how great these guys want to be, man. I really think the American Dream, Devin Haney and Teofimo, man, I think they're gonna bring back back in a huge way. Because
yeah, but I'm talking heavyweights though, man. I'm talking about the heavyweights.
Yeah, the heavyweights it's a wasteland. So that's why I don't even think about it no more.
Man, I can't help it. You know, I've always loved the heavyweights. Always have, always will. And you know, some of the I mean, I can't, you know, Ken Norton, man. You were talking about Ken Norton. I watched Norton. The first time I saw him was when he beat Muhammad Ali on that decision. When he broke his jaw back in 1973. I think it was in March of 73. And I followed him ever since then. I thought it was a fluke, but it wasn't. Him and Ali, they could go back and forth, 12 rounds, 15 rounds, and they were all disputed decisions either way they went. So that was
no, come on, Bruce. King got robbed, man. He got robbed twice, man. He won all 3 fights, man.
No, he won the second, not the second fight.
No, he was punishing Ali. What were you watching, man?
No. Ali went back for revenge. Ali beat him in the second fight. The third fight,
Ali came in good in that second fight. He was in good shape in that second fight.
And he was in terrible shape in the first fight. He had his ankle playing golf. But the third fight, I give that third fight to Ken Norton.
Me too.
He couldn't miss him with that overhand right. He could not miss Ali's jaw with that. I mean, great.
You know what's so funny about that? Isn't it funny how George Foreman beat Ken Norton and Joe Frazier easy, but they both gave Ali hell, and Ali beat Foreman easy? It's crazy how boxing works, man.
Yep.
Hey, who do you guys think was the better fighter? Deontay Wilder or Ernie Shavers?
Ernie Shavers.
I would say Deontay Wilder because one thing about Deontay Wilder nobody gives him credit for is the way he sees himself. He sees himself as a champion. I feel like Ernie didn't always see himself that way. And if Ernie was more, if he kind of seen himself more as a champion, it looked like Ernie was just happy to be there. Even when you watched him, he was just happy to be in the mix. He never cared about being the best. He just wanted to be in the mix. I think mindset is a big thing too in them fighters too. How they see themselves is a huge thing because to me, man, it was clear that, you know, Ernie didn't care about being the best. He just wanted to be among those guys. You watch him in facing Ali, he kind of said the same thing there too. Him and Ron Laws both were like that to me. Could have been the best, but didn't want it bad enough.
They were in
the era they fought in though.
You can look at the opposition. You got to look at the people that Ernie Shavers fought compared to the people that Deontay Wilder fought. I mean, dude, it's
I mean, he
Ernie
fought Jimmy
Shavers.
Young, he fought Jimmy Ellis, he fought Corey, he fought Ron Lyle, he fought Larry Holmes, some Ken Norton, and he beat Ken Norton. You know, there was a lot of killers in that environment, man.
I mean, you just named the top 10, pretty much a Hall of Fame, all Hall of Fame fighters. It's just, I mean, just, but see, Ernie Shavers, like you said, he never won a world title. That's when titles were extremely meaningful back then, and you pretty much only had one or two, but one important title, and that was during Ernie's era. That was won by Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes. And
those were the only two fighters he could have beat to get a belt. Was either Holmes or Ali, because those are the guys who had the belts when Ernie Shavers was in the atmosphere. Maybe Joe Frazier for a few years, but you know, he would have had to beat one of those guys. There was only, when Ernie Shavers was active, there was only 3 world champions. There was Ali, Larry Holmes, and there was
and plus he beat Jimmy. He starts Jimmy Ellis too. Ernie Shavers has got Jimmy Ellis on his record, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Ellis did have a belt at one time, but by the time Ernie Shavers became relevant, Jimmy Ellis no longer had a belt. But he did fight Jimmy Ellis too, and for a short period of time, Ken Norton had that WBC strap, I think it was, because they stripped Ali for taking because Leon Spinks took the rematch. So, you know, I mean, he beat Ken Norton, who was a champion, knocked Ken Norton out like it wasn't nothing. You know, I give it to Ernie Shavers because Deontay Wilder don't have anybody on his resume like those guys that we just mentioned. I mean, he, other than Tyson Fury, maybe, and Tyson Fury beat him.
Luis Ortiz was pretty strong, man.
Who?
Luis Ortiz, the big Cuban.
Right, but see, the thing about Ortiz was really good. I just don't know if a 40-year-old Ortiz would have did well against young Larry Holmes and those kind of guys. If he was in that environment of the 1970s, he would have had to have been a younger fighter coming from out of Cuba, because he wouldn't have been able to survive in his 40s in that environment. He had a disadvantage, Ortiz, because we didn't get a chance to see Ortiz in his prime because Ortiz came from Cuba. And I think by the time he fought Wilder, he was already an older fighter when it really comes down to it.
But you know, we never got to see the Cubans really when they were young. We always kind of got to see them when they were old and kind of past it. It was rare to get a Cuban young. Like even, I don't know if you guys follow David Morrell. Even David Morrell Jr., you usually don't get a Cuban who actually looks the age he says he is. I mean, he actually looks like a young 24, 25-year-old guy. So, I mean, but
we don't know if Frank Sanchez is the age they say he is.
Oh, Frank is 50 years old, man. Look at Frank's face.
Rigondeaux was older than what they said. Erislan Delore was older than what they said, in my opinion. I mean, they could tell us what they want to
Lara was older for sure. I could say that. I could agree with that. But I keep telling y'all missing out on this kid, Teofimo Lopez, man. This dude reminds me so much of a young Floyd Mayweather, man. And I think he might make it all the way up to 54. I think he can make it all the way up to 54 because he's about 5'8". This kid is special, man. If he can get his head on right, he's special.
He just came up short against Kambosos. That's pretty much it. But, you know, I don't count him out for it because one thing I know is that fighters sometimes lose early in their career. It doesn't define who they are. Some fighters take losses really early. Bernard Hopkins took a loss early. I mean, it could happen to the best fighters around. But I like Teofimo. I think he's a very good fighter.
I think he's been killed a lot, though, which is crazy.
Shout out to my brother Just Frank in the building, man. Peace, bro. No, Teofimo, ultimate. Or he is really the linear junior welterweight champion right now, because Josh Taylor was, you know, he never lost his Ring Magazine belt, his linear status. So Lopez is linear 140 right now. I mean, I would love to see Lopez and Devin Haney. Those guys have been jawing back and forth on YouTube for years, calling each other the N-word, having their fathers involved in it. I mean, the fights are natural. I think they even had it. They even had condition terms condition. I think I won on some fucking YouTube channel a few years ago. But the fight just fell through. And this is when they were called the Four Kings too. You guys all remember that, man. I mean, the fight was a natural, but it never happened. So I don't know, man. I'd like to see Teofimo Lopez fulfill his promise, but I think he's got to be more active, man. I just think he retired. He's got a lot of doubt in his mind. Then he comes back. I think he's got to dedicate himself to boxing. But like you Kat said, it's a different era. They're different mentalities these athletes have than they did back in the day.
Hey Bruce, a divorce is tough, man. The man was trying to hide a couple bucks from his wife, and he retired abruptly so he could kind of make his income look a certain way. I mean, to me, when he said he retired, that was more of a break. Fighters do that all the time. Oh, I'm retired, I'm taking a break. So I really didn't hold that against him. Only thing I'll say, people hold that George Kambosos lost against Tio, but let's not forget, Ali lost to a guy with 8 fights. I mean, it happens, man. People lose.
Yeah, apples to oranges, really. But I mean, all he has to do now is win some fights. He's at the perfect weight. It's probably the hottest weight in boxing right now. You've got Matias. So many names at 140. I couldn't even begin to start naming them, man. All he's got to do is sign some contracts. Who's this dude he's fighting? Jermaine Ortiz right now, right? This is the guy
Jermaine Ortiz. He's pretty
good.
Fight.
That's a tough fight.
I'd like to see him like Gary Antoine Russell.
There you go, man.
Like him?
I mean, we need better matchmakers in boxing because they're not giving us the fights we want to see. And Teofimo Lopez, he could be an all-time great, but we're not seeing him in the fights that he needs to fight. And I don't know if that's his problem or his dad's problem or just the whole boxing world in general. Things just aren't happening, man. What he's got to do is go to Saudi Arabia, get some of that Saudi money, get motivated.
And speaking about Curtis Anderson, I would have liked to have seen what he had to say about some of that stuff in Saudi Arabia and get his take on some of that stuff. It would have been interesting to hear his take on that.
Oh, yeah.
You know who his favorite fighter was out of the young ones? It was Jerron Boots Ennis. He always bigged up Jerron Boots Ennis and said, man, that guy's special. That guy's the future of boxing. I'm pretty sure Curtis would have probably been wanting to see that fight between Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford because he really liked Boots Ennis. He talked about Boots Ennis. Every time he came to my show, he'll always talk about Boots Ennis.
Yeah, that dude's a hype job, man.
You think so?
Oh, man. At the end of the day, it's just like everything. Everybody looks good till they get into a real fight. I mean,
it's possible. It's possible.
He beating up guys
we'll find out.
40 and all that. I'm not impressed by that. I want to see him when he get in there with somebody with a pulse, man.
What do you think would be a good fight for you to give for Boots Ennis to get his respect, to give him some respect?
Stanionis would be a good one.
Okay, that's a good fight.
If he could fight Barrios, that'd be a good fight because that's his generation. I hate that Keith Thurman is so inactive because that would have been a great fight for him. Because Keith Thurman is dangerous. I really think that he might have to unfortunately move up to get the kind of smoke he needs and fight maybe a Tim Tszyu because Tim Tszyu's a can, man. I like Tim Tszyu, man. He's not as good as his dad. He don't got the same pop as his daddy, but I like Tim Tszyu. He like
me too.
I like that.
Yeah, I agree
like
with
that
you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he like to get in there and kick your ass. Anybody, any fighter like to get their ass kicked, I'm a big fan of. That's what made Ali special. He always a woman with his ass kicked. They said, "Why are you fighting for him?" Just want to see if I'm the best. Like I love hearing stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean to blame Floyd, but in a way, Floyd kind of messed up boxing, man. He really did. Fighting these guys at strategic times and not fighting when he was supposed to. Like, that's why I always love Oscar De La Hoya. Say what you want about Oscar. He got in there with everybody. You couldn't say Oscar's name and not get a fight. You couldn't do it.
He damn sure was an active fighter, and he was busy. He did fight against a lot of tough competition when he was coming up. Sometimes people thought he might have got a gift nod in the KURTIS fight. Perhaps in that fight, some people had some complaints about the Trinidad fight. Some people thought
a bunch of gifts. I mean, let's be honest. Ali got some gifts too. I mean, that's what happened when you the guy. When you wrote a
Hey, you know what I was thinking of today?
some gifts. Go ahead.
I was thinking of today, Blood, when you were doing your show, you're talking about maybe Tyson Fury bladed himself to get that cut. I was thinking about the Chavez fight, the first fight with De La Hoya. You remember that, man? And that was a passing of the torch. That was Chavez. Chavez had done everything in boxing, but he had to fight a young lion like De La Hoya, and it was I think it was a fourth or fifth round TKO, just a bloody mess. But people were saying behind the scenes that he had cut himself earlier and had makeup put on it and everything else. And I mean, it was just like what they're going to be saying tomorrow about Tyson Fury, because this is going to be the talking part of. I mean, YouTube's going to go nuts with this. They're going to run with this for a few days.
Oh yeah. Well, I looked at it once I saw the elbow. I think that the elbow was legit. You know, it was just unfortunate that it happened. And because Tyson Fury has always come up with some kind of bull crap over the years, it makes it hard for people to believe him when something actually does happen. But, you know, I was convinced that that it's legit. I'm pretty sure he was cut when he was hit with that elbow. Yeah, there you go. Yep. I think he was cut when he was hit. Boom, right there.
Let's watch that one. See that? That looked like he was doing more, trying to mug him more than spar with him. Hey, my brother Shelton Moore, man. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for stopping in here, bro. I don't think I've seen you in my room before, but I appreciate you here.
Shout out to Shelton Moore. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a talking point for a few days, Bruce. Some people are going to say that it's made up and that, you know, and until I actually saw the elbow land, I think I was thinking the same way for the most part. But, you know, man, these kind of things happen sometimes, man. I just don't think Usyk needs to wait around on him. Usyk needs to move on and proceed with his career. And he doesn't need Tyson Fury to define his legacy. He's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know why he would wait around for Tyson Fury, fulfill the date, get Hrgovic in there, take you a few more fights, and come out of the game, man. If Tyson Fury gets his stuff together in the meantime and you guys get that fight cooking, it would be nice to see. But apparently, for some reason, we can't seem to get this unification bout at heavyweight. And we haven't been able to get this kind of a fight since Lennox Lewis left. And it's been over 20 years now.
You know what's funny, though?
It's unfortunate.
I always laugh about Lennox Lewis because, man, when he got one of my favorite people to ever box is Vitaly Klitschko. And I swear, if he wouldn't have got cut, Lennox was done. That boy Vitaly, I don't think people give Vitaly Klitschko enough credit. That brother can fight, man. He can fight, man. I wish his older brother Vladimir wasn't around because Vitaly to me was the guy, man. I love Vitaly Klitschko.
Vladimir is actually the younger brother. He's the younger brother.
Oh, Vladimir's the younger brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I always thought Vitaly was the younger, but Vitaly, man, he was a dog, man.
He was. Yeah, he definitely was. I always thought he was a little bit more technically sound than his brother. I like the way he put his combinations together a little bit better than Vladimir. Vitaly came from a kickboxing background. He was really good, man. He could fight really good at long range and medium range, better than his brother, I thought. But you know, they couldn't fight because they were brothers, and I could kind of understand that. And because of that, we didn't get an undisputed champion. And he was doing very well in that fight against Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was supposed to actually fight a different fighter. I can't remember who, but somebody pulled out and he ended up going in there against Vitaly Klitschko, and he cut him with a punch. At least it was the punch that he cut him with.
I don't know, boxing, retro boxing. That's kind of the
That was exciting as hell, bro.
Fight though, man. Reason I say that fight should have went is because I seen Tyson Fury a bloody mess versus Alois Lane. They didn't stop that at all. They should have definitely stopped that one. He was bleeding like a pig. They ain't stop that fight at all.
Tyson Fury came out on top in that fight. He's had a few close calls himself, but it's pretty unfortunate what's going on now. And maybe Tyson Fury just needs to do his thing over there in the WBC, and Usyk could finish out his career with his 3 belts. I really don't care no more. I'm getting tired of waiting for. I mean, if it happens, it'll be good to see, but I'm getting tired of waiting around for it, though.
You getting tired of waiting for Undisputed?
Yeah. Getting sick of
it. This is strange. Shelton Moore, I can't see you on YouTube, but I can see you on StreamYard in the back here. Because I'm trying to give you a wrench on YouTube, but somebody must have timed you out a while ago. Because you're not showing up on the YouTube feed. That's weird, man. But if somebody did time you out, I'll go back and untime you, unblock you rather, and wrench you up.
I don't see his comment. I don't see Shelton Moore in here where he's commented.
No. And how do I get into the studio over here?
What I did, I shared it to my stream. That's why he's coming through.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about stream.
Oh, okay. Well then, Shelton Moore, you better get over here and give me a thumbs up, bro. All right, man.
You know a fighter that I wanted to ask you guys about. And I always wondered this, man. How good was Ron Lyles?
Ron Lyles was a very good fighter. He was a very dangerous fighter. He had a lot of power. He had pretty good boxing skills, considering the fact that Ron Lyles spent some time in the penitentiary. He had pretty damn good boxing skills, man. He was a tough guy, man. He could go in there and he could upset anybody. He took a loss to Jerry Quarry early in his career, but Jerry Quarry was All-American Golden Gloves champion who had been boxing with his brothers for a very long time. He took a loss to Jimmy Young before he fought Ali. I think those are the only 2 losses he had was against Jerry Quarry and Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young is arguably one of the best fighters of the 1970s. He fought George Foreman and gave George Foreman hell, almost knocked out George Foreman. 2 of his losses was to Jimmy Young, and then by the time he got to what's his name, Jerry Cooney, he was old.
Don't forget his fight with Ernie Shavers, bro.
Yep, he fought. He knocked out. He stopped Ernie Shavers.
That was the prelude to the elevator fight with Ron Lyles and Shavers. And Ron Lyles, if I can add a little bit about him, man, he was a cold individual, bro. He was released from a life sentence. He was given a pardon, so he was pardoned from prison. He was a cold person. I spoke to Nate Campbell, who met Ron Lyles, and he told me, he said, man, I asked him to describe him. He goes, cold as ice. So you could see that he brought that in the ring with him, and that's what we're talking about. The difference between the fighters of yesterday and the fighters of today. I mean, these guys of yesterday were, the Carlos Monzones, the Ron Lyles. These guys had to fight for everything in their life, Nothing was handed to them. It's a whole different breed of human beings. They didn't have nutritionists and dietitians and personal trainers. Fuck, man. They didn't even have bus fare to the gym. You know what I'm saying, man? It was a different era. But getting back to Ron Lyles, as tough as they come, I think he even shot at his wife at him. He was chasing her on the highway, and he pulled her over, and he took a few shots at her. That's how crazy Ron Lyles was. He gave Muhammad Ali hell in their fight, but Ron Lyles, his better days were in the mid to late '60s. His fight with Foreman in the '70s.
Hey Bruce, I think Shelton Moore is in the back, man.
Is he? Oh, definitely, man. Come on up, Shelton Moore, brother.
Hey, how's it going, big bro?
What's up, Bruce? What's going on, fellas?
Hey, big bro, how you doing?
How you doing, bro? Hey, man, look. I'm not shocked. I'm a little saddened because I did want to see the fight, but as you all know, I picked Usyk anyway. I thought Usyk would style on him because if you look at Tyson Fury, bro, Tyson Fury took advantage of an era where we got big, slow heavyweights who can't move. That's what we got.
I could agree with that.
And he was the better mover out of all the guys we had. Plus, in boxing, he was 6 years old, so it makes a big difference.
Yes, sir. I mean, he doesn't really have a whole lot to define his legacy. I mean, he has the victories over Deontay Wilder, and he has a victory over.
Yeah, but who is Deontay Wilder, bro? Hold on, give me 1 second, fellas. I'll be right back.
Okay.
That brother said, "Who was Deontay?" I love how you always do that. Who was Deontay Wilder?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what part I love to watch now, man? Bruce, I've been watching a lot, man. We've been Hurricane Carter, man. That brother, like, he was vicious. I hate he ain't getting no time. He looked like he was vicious, man.
He's another one, different kind of a human being than 99% of the fighters out there are today. You know, I mean, this guy, he got his school in the back of a fucking Cadillac, on the way to a bar. I mean, this is a different individual. You know, you're not gonna stop him unless you got a crowbar in your hand. You know what I'm saying, man? They were just.
Yeah, man, he was one hell of a fighter, man. He's a guy who actually stopped Emil Griffith. He actually stopped Emil Griffith, man. You know, which is, that's not something that anybody would do, really. Isn't he the only person to ever stop Emil Griffith?
I'm not sure, blood, but I know he had a crazy fight with George Benton. He can catch that.
Fought Georgie Benton. He beat Georgie Benton.
Beat him to death, man. He was trying to kill people, man. That's the thing I always wondered, why was Hurricane so angry in there, man?
Certain fighters. I mean, we had Tony Ayala. You remember Tony Ayala Jr.?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody does.
He was like that, bro. All of a sudden, you got in the ring, and all of a sudden the switch came on, and the human being disappeared, and the animal appeared, and he didn't give a fuck. He'd spit at you. He'd fucking hit you low. He was hurting the opponent. That's that's the way some fighters find their success. And you don't see much of those guys out there today.
So let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you guys a question. Hold on, BBL. Let me ask you guys a question. So what does Usyk need to do now to secure his legacy? Who does he need to fight? Does he need to fight one of these young guys coming up? Or does he need to fight one of these top contenders they got established, like a Zhang, a Hrgovic, one of those guys?
He needs to fight a couple of those guys if he wants to really build a legacy. Because this generation, it's one fight and you think you're going to go into the Hall of Fame. No, man. All the fighters that you name, man. Jilly Chang, Joseph Parker, if he's successful. I mean, just keep him fucking coming, bro. He's not a young fighter either. He's closer to 40 than he is to 35. So if Usyk wants to do it for recognition, if he wants to be mentioned in the same breath as Muhammad Ali, then he's got to fight more often. Hey, my sister Wingstar, shout out to you, my brother, my sister.
Well, what I think, Mr. Shelton Moore, is I believe that he's already defined his legacy because he won that super tournament, World Super Series. He became undisputed at that time.
Like the Andre Ward deal, right?
Yeah, Andre Ward did that, and he was able to make it into the Hall of Fame based off of just doing that alone. Usyk has already did that. He did it even better than Ward because he became undisputed. As Ward, there was one of those belts missing with Butte having that WBO. And not only did he do that, he furthered his legacy when he moved up and twice defeated Anthony Joshua. He defeated Derek Chisora. So I think at this time, he's already first ballot Hall of Fame. At this time, anything he's doing is just to enhance his legacy and place him up higher on a list, but he's already first ballot Hall of Fame. So if he could go in there now and beat any of those guys, I think Hrgović would be a good start because Hrgović is one of his mandatories. I don't think he needs to fight one of these younger guys because there really isn't a whole lot of young guys in the environment other than like Big Baby Anderson, Daniel Dubois. Most of those guys are 30 plus, going on into their mid 30s. Even guys like Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, and all of these guys are 30 now. Zhang would be a nice little victory. Hrgović, everything he does now is just to build on to his legacy, to his already guaranteed first ballot Hall of Fame status.
Okay, cool. What's up with you, BBO? What's your take?
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer because I can't name one of those guys from that Super Six that he beat. Because
Anthony Joshua,
I'm talking about
two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world, 2 times.
Yeah, but Anthony Joshua was created, man. We seen him, totally.
And so was Wilder.
I don't know if Wilder was created because I seen Wilder trying to fight Joshua, and Joshua wouldn't do it.
Wilder was created. Name a top 10 guy in Wilder's whole career. Take away Luis Ortiz. You name me a top 10 guy that Wilder fought.
Luis Ortiz is the only one I could name, to be honest with you. I mean, I just say this. When you give a guy $3 million, you give a guy $3 million for his belt, like they did with Prince Charles Martin, man.
They gave him $8 million, bro.
$8 million. My bad. I thought it was 3. See, look. When you give a guy that kind of money, man, come on, dude. Come on, man.
Look, man.
But I want to see. I do want to see him in there versus Zhang. I'm not high on Hrgović because I thought Zhang already beat him, so I'm not that high on Hrgović, man. I think he's
me neither. I'm not high on Hrgović either because I saw Zhang beat the dog shit out of him.
Yeah, beat him up bad, man. Like just got robbed. But I'll say this: if Usyk can go in there, maybe get a Joseph Parker fight Zhang, and definitely I hope he can fight Wilder. And that would be a big fight. And
nobody wants to see that, bro. Nobody. After the way Wilder
doesn't deserve a fight. He doesn't deserve a fight.
The way he looked in Abu Dhabi, bro. The way he looked in Saudi Arabia, nobody wants to see no Wilder, bro.
Exactly.
You think nobody wants to see him after one bad performance? I mean,
hell no. He had 3 bad performances. He had 1, 2, 3 bad performances in a row. Well, that third fight was an excellent fight. But he got knocked the fuck out and slept. So
no, you didn't hear what I said earlier, man. I think Wilder and fucking Jake Paul would be an ideal fight right now.
Beautiful fight.
I don't know why I find that pretty, man.
They both make a ton of fucking money, and I bet you they break the pay-per-view fucking records out there, bro. You get the boxing.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And you get the fucking the Instagram people watching it. They could go fucking nuts. And believe me, bro, I honestly think it would be an even fight right now.
Who says right now on this panel, if Ngannou and Wilder was to fight, who would pick Wilder?
I wouldn't pick Wilder.
He don't want to fight.
Goddamn shame. And that's a goddamn shame. That dude is 0-1.
That's too dangerous.
0-1.
Dangerous, Shelton. Nagano's too dangerous to fight fucking Wilder right now.
And that's what I'm saying, Bruce. Listen to what I'm saying. That guy is 0-1. He's only had 1 professional fight, and he lost that fight. And you would pick that guy over a former heavyweight champion of the world. You would pick that guy over a former heavyweight champion.
Yeah, but Ngannou, man, that's a different guy, man.
Hey, bro, once that ayahuasca gets you, man, you lose that killer instinct. And believe me, man, I grew up in the 70s. I did every hallucinogenic out there more than a dozen times. So I know what that'll do to the mind. And it takes away,
right.
Bro. That's why they're all hippies. And Wilder, he's a fucking old hippie now, bro. Did you see how nice he was in Saudi Arabia? He's taking selfies with everybody. He don't want no bodies. He was the coolest guy. I dug Wilder. I dig him now. But unfortunately, he's got to be that killer. He's got to be that fucking Frank the Animal Fletcher. He's got to be Carlos Monzon. He's got to be Ron Lyle,
But see, but what happened to Wilder was, this is what happens to any fighter.
I know what
when you give him can after can after can after can, and then you put him in there with somebody who can actually fight, and then you see what happens.
Yeah.
You
His
think
legs
he fought
looked extra
under
skinny
Ken?
too, man. I don't know what was going on with him. He's always had skinny legs, but man, he looked a little fragile in that fight in Saudi Arabia, though. Something didn't look right about him, man.
Shout out to my brother.
Really off too. His balance was off, man.
You know, it wasn't his balance, man. You know what it was? And I keep saying this. These guys got to stop with this long-ass layoff shit. Like, these 2-year vacations and all this crazy.
It ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't gonna happen because I told you they're a different generation. These guys don't want to get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. They want to come home at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a different fucking generation out there, bro. You're not gonna see these guys fighting 4 or 5 times a year anymore. It's too easy. The bed's too soft, man. The silk pajamas feel too good. The pussy's too available.
Yes. And we gotta say salute. We gotta say salute. We gotta say salute to the greatest heavyweight of all time, Apollo Creed. He passed today.
Yes.
Yeah, salute to him, man. Salute to Carl Weathers, man.
Only a couple of years older than me, man. I watched him from the first Rocky film. I watched him in the Predators. I watched all the way through. He was a true man of class, tough as they come. Fucking Jesse was saying when they were filming Predator, him and Schwarzenegger, everybody else is out partying. Him and Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers are doing push-ups and sit-ups and having pull-up competitions. These guys were true fucking G's right to the end, man.
How did he pass away?
Weathers.
Heart attack, I think.
He was old enough. He was like 74 years old. So
70. He was 70. It was 74.
I think so.
Yeah. He had a heart attack. I believe.
Nobody has any information on how he passed.
No, I just know he passed today. I think it was a heart attack, though. I'm not sure. Can't quote me on that.
I'll tell you in 1 second.
Yeah, you know, he was a linebacker for the Raiders.
He's older than that.
Yeah, you know, he played for the Raiders in 70-71. He was a linebacker.
Well, if he was using any kind of steroids or anything like that at one time, that makes people
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he did. But he was a good football player, though. He's a pretty decent ball player. I watched him play. He's a pretty good ball player. He played football pretty well. He got cut, but you know, he got hurt.
Right. Well, it's unfortunate, man. Action Jackson has passed away.
Yes, sir.
You know, and
now will they stick his ass? Here's the question, Blood. Will they stick his ass in the Hall of Fame now?
Los Angeles.
Oh, for Apollo Creed, you mean?
Yeah, I know, Blood.
76. His family issued a statement saying he died in his sleep.
Apollo Creed is top.
He died peacefully in his
sleep. 20. He's top 20.
Apollo was a bad man, the master of disaster.
Hey, he's top 20, man. Because he came in right in that era after Ali. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Remember Ali, you know, so he...
Because you remember he said Joe was ducking him. Remember that?
Yeah. Joe was ducking him.
You've been ducking me, Joe. You've been ducking me a long time.
You ducking me, Joe. Yeah, he came in that era and he wasn't champ for very long. That's what hurt his legacy.
He's only champ for one movie.
Yeah, for just a little bit, you know, right after the Ali era. Joe Frazier did duck him. Ernie Shavers and them probably ducked him. But and he never did fight. He never fought BA. He never fought Mr. T. If he would have had that Mr. T fight, that might have helped him. That might have helped his legacy if he got the Mr. T.
Yeah, that might have helped him out a little bit.
He fought Mr. T fight. He didn't get the Clubber Lane fight, so you know he
knocked out Clubber Lane. If he knocked out Clubber Lane, that might put him top 10.
Yeah, that put him top 10. If he would have got Clubber Lane, that would have did it.
I gotta ask y'all a question, man. While y'all up here, man. Would Joe Louis beat Ali? Because I think he'd beat the hell out of him.
Hell no.
Joe Louis?
I don't think Joe Louis.
Hell no.
No.
Joe Louis
too small. You gotta remember, BVO. Joe Louis fought at 186 pounds, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe the heaviest is 195. Joe Louis was a small heavyweight.
You don't think he would have caught up to Ali at the end?
Oh no. I'll tell you this. This is how I tell him, Bruce. This is what I say to him. The Ali that fought from 1960 to 1967 before he got exiled, nobody beats that guy. 70 to 79, 80, you might have some action. But 60 to 67, Nobody beats that guy.
No.
You mean
And I'll tell you what, it was probably a second step. Between 70 and 74, he was better than he was in 75 and on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Only thing I didn't like about Ali, he like to run. Man. I like real box where they get in the middle of the ring and fight. That's what I like, man.
So obviously you didn't watch the third Joe Frazier fight.
I did.
You didn't watch the Foreman fight.
But that wasn't
you
all
didn't watch
the
Shavers fights. You didn't watch the Shavers fight. You didn't watch fights. The Ron. Tell him, Bruce, the Ron Lau fight. You didn't watch those fights.
No, he was roping.
Ali couldn't move no more, and he was flat-footed, and he had to stand in the ring and bang with you. You didn't watch those fights.
You had to make him do that. He didn't do that with everybody. You had to make him do that. That's what I'm saying.
No, he abandoned his footwork in the 70s, man, and especially around 73 and up. He was pretty much a flat-footed fighter at that point.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my favorite fight that I wish all fights could be like was Ron Lau versus George Foreman. That's the best fight ever to watch.
I think the best fight I've ever saw, honestly, the two best fights I ever saw was Frazier, Ali 3 in Manila, and my man Larry Holmes and Ken Norton that first fight. That was a banger. Two hell of a fight.
That was a banger right there. That was a banger.
Two hell of a fights. Best fights I ever saw.
Robots right there. D3, how you doing, my brother? And somebody else came in here, man. Juan Claudio.
What's going on, Bruce, guys?
What's going on? What's going on, guys?
D3, Juan Claudio. What's happening, fellas?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey,
it's Puerto Rico or nobody. You got to watch Juan. It's Puerto Rico or nobody.
I came up here because Shelton said something that was real interesting, and I had to make a comment. He was like, if Wilder gets in there with Francis Ngannou, who would pick Wilder to win? Truth be told, I got Francis over AJ. I think Francis is going to.
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
So
I ain't mad.
So you saying somebody picking Francis over Wilder is a shame?
Yeah,
I got Francis over AJ,
and that's a shame. You pick a guy on one over a two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. That's a goddamn shame.
It don't matter what his record. It don't matter what his record is. It's what I see in the ring. I don't care.
Right.
I see people that had a worse record than Francis Ngannou and beat guys with a better record. It doesn't matter what the record is. It's a matter of what happens the night of the fight.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, the good thing about Ngannou and Joshua is we damn sure gonna find out. We gonna get to see it.
Yeah, that's true. When is that fight scheduled for?
This is why I can't go nuts when you guys talk about the fucking hypothetical fights with Ali and Joe Louis, bro. It's like, man, you better watch the Joe Louis tapes because Joe Louis was something special.
Yeah, Joe Louis shit out of Ali. I don't know what they talking about. Joe Louis.
You would never know what the hell. I mean, Joe Louis, look what this fucking guy did throughout his career. He was just incredible. He could cut the ring off. He fought boxers. He fought sluggers. He fought everybody. And it's fantasy fights. They're crazy. They're never gonna happen. And they're gonna happen. Random acoustic thoughts, my bro. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. Well, you come on the panel and talk some boxing with us, man. Jump on here. First and foremost, D3, did you know Curtis Anderson at all?
Say that again?
Did you know Kurt Anderson?
Of course.
All right, my brother. Speak on the subject, please.
My Kurt Anderson, far as somebody with the boxing knowledge that Kurt Anderson, outside of maybe scrapbook, I don't know nobody that had the knowledge that Kurt Anderson had. This man, Kurt Anderson, he had a house that had a whole room full of nothing but old tapes of fights. Like Kurt Anderson has enough tapes right now that you can sit in your house and watch fights probably from now to the end of the year. You just sit there and just watch fights. This man, the amount of fights that Kurt Anderson have seen and the amount of knowledge that Kurt Anderson had, I mean, it's something that you probably won't never meet somebody personally with the knowledge that Kurt Anderson had. Like I said, outside of scrapbook, I don't think I know anybody else that had the knowledge that Kurt Anderson had on the far as boxing. I don't think I know anybody else.
Great man. How about you, Juan Claudio? Did you know Curtis at all?
No, I heard about him, but I really never really got the chance to read get into his history and stuff like that. So I'm a little behind on everything right now. So I'm sorry.
Hey, shout out my brother Trick Nolte, my brother for life, man. Salute my brother for life, Miss Curtis Anderson, and Trick Nolte knew Curtis on a personal basis. Trick Nolte would phone call him all the time. He set up a 3-way call on Curtis's birthday with Roy Jones. And Trick does this. Trick has called me up and he's had boxers on the other end of the line. I was in a 3-way phone call. Trick called me up and we had Marlon Starling and Donald Curry on the other end, on the other 2 lines, bro. And they're reliving the fight. I mean, I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? No, I beat you, Donald. I had you in the 12th round. No, Marlon. No. Remember that left hook I hit? Oh, I mean, bro, it was priceless. And Trick Nolte, man, he's got the spirit of Curtis Anderson in him. So shout out to my brother Trick Nolte, man. Thank you for coming by, brother.
If anybody wants to hear Curtis Anderson talk, I do have a tribute to Curtis Anderson. It's 6 hours of Curtis Anderson talking. It's on my page, Blood Boxing. If anybody who didn't hear him,
yeah, I'm checking that out. I miss my guy, man. I used to talk to my guy all the time on the phone. We talk boxing all the time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. He was a historian, right? That's what he was, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
More than
that.
Yeah. He was a historian.
Hey, Bruce, I got one of those coming up too, man. I need you to get with him more, man. I think my man Marky Dan's gonna be a big time historian, man. He go back before.
Yeah. Marky, big fan of the old school fighting and the old school fighters and stuff like that. It's definitely it's interesting on his takes a lot. That's why I definitely do like talking to Marky a lot about stuff.
He got me watching Kid Gavilan. I ain't know Kid Gavilan was a monster like that. Talk about kicking ass. Oh my god.
Kid Gavilan was one hell of a fighter, man. The bolo punch, really quick reflexes. He was a really aggressive fighter.
Punch. Say that punch again. The bolo
punch. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
he really took that bolo punch to another level. He'll set people up by using the bolo punch. He'll direct his fighters to go certain places. He was really smart. He was like a real ring technician, Kid Gavilan. And he fought greats like nice. Sugar Ray Robinson and them guys. He
even Jersey Joe was pretty good. You ever heard of that guy, Jersey Joe?
Oh yeah.
I see a lot of fighters that took from Jersey Joe, man. He was nice.
Jersey Joe Walcott.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites, man. In fact, it was just his birthday yesterday.
Oh man, shout out to Jersey Joe on the birthday. R.I.P. to him too.
He would have been $110 yesterday, man.
It was Jackie Robinson's birthday yesterday too, man.
Isn't it amazing how these? It's like this time of year, the Capricorn time of Aquarius, whatever it is. But there's so much that happened in boxing history. It's like every time I do a little bit of research on it, I'm seeing wow on this day, wow. It's like just so much in boxing history. And Curtis Anderson, man, he could recite them all off the top of his neck like nothing, man. The guy was truly an amazing boxing historian.
Yeah, he was.
He opened me up to a lot of stuff, man. My boxing knowledge increased when he came into the atmosphere. Because before Curtis Anderson came around, I was kind of a basic kind of historian, but he kind of sharpened my skills, man, because he would tell me what to go look into and things like that. And when I was making them documentaries, he was helping me a lot behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know how much Curtis helped me behind the scenes with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
Is there any way that like said maybe like his wife or somebody at Cash App? Anybody we can do that to or no?
Chick Nolte would know because he keeps in touch with him. I know his son. I had his son on a show on his birthday about 6 months ago. He's the one who made my emoji for me, and I'm sure that Trick Nolte would know his wife's Cash App or whatever she has. Trick, if you have it, man, drop it out there, or if you want to text it to me, you got my number. You can do that, and we'll put it out there. I'll put it on a community page, and people we can share it, and we can send something out there. Because hey, what else can we do? We can do shows like this to keep his spirit alive. But it's nice to throw a few bucks at the family. It's nice to do, and I'll do my best to support that too. If there's a Cash App or something that we can help him out. His son's a cool dude too, man. He's got a grandson now too. And amazing how the circle of life goes around and around. But he's definitely an inspiration for a lot of YouTube stuff out here. He just showed you how relevant the history of boxing is with the presence of boxing.
The number one historian on YouTube is Scrapbook Boxing. He has more memorabilia and more dates memorized than anybody else. He's the guy right now. He's got all the knowledge. Him and Curtis was really close. And I keep in contact with Scrapbook Boxing. He'll be back really soon, man. But he's also a real great source for boxing history and information. If anybody wants to learn anything about boxing history, he could tell you pretty much about anything. Scrapbook Boxing.
I want to ask you a question, man. I want to ask you guys a question. So, who you think will win, Roy Jones or the Marvelous One at 160? Who wins?
Wait, who?
Roy
Jones versus Hagler?
Yeah, who you think wins at 160?
Go ahead,
Roy
Bruce.
will beat him to death.
I 160? That's crazy.
Right there. I'm a Marvin Hagler man, but bro, there were 3 years that Roy Jones was just unfucking beatable. He had he could punch you behind his back, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he was that talented. He was like an Ali, but yet nobody was big or small because it was a middleweight, super middleweight era. And man, that's another fantasy fight. We're never gonna see it. So
but you didn't say who you had, Bruce.
That fight right there, like Marvin Hagler in his prime and Roy Jones in his prime. Marvin Hagler was a hell of a fighter, but the thing is, the problem that Marvin Hagler had, and we saw that come out with Sugar Ray, is if those guys can actually move, he couldn't knock them out. He pretty much needed somebody right there in front of him. He couldn't really knock out boxers, the top level. He couldn't knock out those boxers. And Roy Jones in his prime, he's able to stop anybody at 160. And I think Roy Jones would have been too much of a boxer, and he had enough power to be able to hurt Hagler. I don't know if he stops Hagler, but he has enough power to hurt Hagler.
I think those angles, those punches where he throws those angles from is it would be too much for Marvin. And I'm a big fan of Marvin because I'm basically almost from his hometown, so it's like it's just I don't know, man. That's why I'm like, I don't know, man.
Marvin Hagler fought way more middleweights than Roy Jones. Roy Jones' time, his window was small at middleweight, whereas Hagler fought guys like Willie Monroe, Eugene Cyclone Hart. He fought guys like Benny Briscoe. He was really tough. Sugar Ray Seals, a 1972 Olympic gold medalist. Kevin Finnegan, who was one of the best fighters. Vito Antuofermo. Bobby Boogaloo Watts. Oba Mejias, who a lot of people don't know how good that guy was. He was really good. Roberto Duran. He fought Thomas Hearns. Mugabe.
He fought a lot more middleweight.
He fight Ron Barkley.
The thing is, Roy moved up in weight. So yeah, Hagler fought more middleweights, but Roy moved up in weight. So He still
Roy
fought
didn't fight the same kind of middleweights as Marvin Hagler, though.
Yeah,
I'm not
He didn't fight prime
that he.
Jerry Curl Tommy Hearns.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
gotta
saying
remember
he
too
did.
that Roy fought one of those killers in James Toney, where James Toney was, you know, he was the man at 160 at one point. So it's like how much of
James Toney died making that 160 though. He never fought 160 after that.
He was good at
After that fight, he
168.
never made that 150. But you know, you gotta get credit where credit is due. It's James Toney.
If James Toney had discipline, he would have been special, Bruce. He just didn't have no discipline. That was the only problem. He ate his way out the division. That was his problem.
That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, he loves his food. In fact, I just befriended him on Facebook, and I've been going back and forth with him a couple of times. I want to see if I can get him on to do an interview. I talked to him on Major Keys about a year ago, and I mean, just a cool dude. And I could tell by just going back and forth with him a couple of times on Facebook that he's still the cool dude, bro. And plus he's coming back from an active fight, and the fight that he had with Razor Ruddock, which was interesting as hell. You know, if anybody watched it.
I watched that. I got a chance to talk to him too, Bruce. I think I talked to him when you did, actually, on Major Keys' channel a couple of years ago. But Roy Jones and James Toney was really at 168 pounds. I don't know, man. I think Marvin Hagler, the way he cuts off the ring and stuff like that. And not only that, people don't give him a lot of credit. He could fight off the southpaw and orthodox stance. He would have given Roy Jones something different. If Roy Jones would have beat him, he would have beat him off of a distance. I don't think he could have stopped Marvin Hagler. We're talking about a guy who was never knocked down, unless you want to consider the Roldan. Was it the Roldan fight, Bruce?
And it was really a slip. It was a
slip, yeah.
You did not only did you not see him knocked down, but you very rarely even saw him get stunned or hurt.
No.
He had an anvil for a chin. You're not going to hurt Marvin Hagler.
I can't see Roy Jones. I can't see him knocking out Marvin Hagler. I could see him outboxing him as a middleweight and winning the decision. That's possible because Willie the Worm Monroe did beat Hagler in his prime. So, you know, and a lot of people say, even though that fight's not on film, Hagler admitted he lost that fight. And I heard that Monroe utilized a lot of movement in that fight. So it's possible, man, that he could be outboxed maybe. And if anyone's going to be able to outbox him, it's going to be Roy Jones.
Did you, I was actually talking to somebody at work today about somebody. Let me see the name.
Hey, that's another one we can't underestimate. We can't ignore either. A historian out there, man, the boxing librarian.
Yeah, he's good too. He knows his information very well too.
And he not only knows boxing, but he knows what's going on in the world too. I listened to him a few times on some other topics. He's a sharp cookie. I think he's CIA or some kind of crazy shit like that, man. He's an incredible mind. And Random Acoustic Thoughts said the three of them are doing a countdown on Thursday, so I'm going to keep my eyes open on that. Make sure you sub to Random Acoustic Thoughts channel. You get to see Scrapbook Boxing. He's been down for a few months, man. He's had some physical shit going on, but I see he's back now. And the Boxing Librarian, always one of my favorites. And Random Acoustic Thoughts, another cool cat out there, man. Another historian in the making. Mm-hmm. Don't miss that show on Thursday, bro.
How long was Charlie Burley?
What time? Random, definitely drop your link out there, man, so we can go sub to you. And Gil Coles, man, salute to my brother Gil Coles. I see Gil everywhere today, man. He must be trolling me or something.
Yeah, that's my Florida homie, man, Gil Coles, and shout out to Random Acoustic Thoughts too. He's got a lot of historical knowledge too. Hardline Boxing Talk is one of the top historians, man. The thing about Hardline Boxing Talk, it's almost like he's too advanced for the YouTube platform. You know, it's like he's so far ahead of everyone else as far as his historical data that it's hard to even pick up where he's starting out at from it's hard to pick up where he's starting out, man. I got to give it to him, man. He's a top-notch historian, though.
It's a true test of the historical brain when you can go and watch Scrapbook. And he puts stuff out every day now, but he does his lives at a weird hour. It's like, about 2 o'clock in the morning my time, 3 o'clock in the morning. But he's been putting a lot of stuff out lately about some, real interesting, obscure boxes that I don't even know who these guys are until I start reading about them and I start recognizing fighters that they fought in the era. But man, shout out once again to the Scrapbook Boxing.
Yeah, him and Hardline Boxing Talk sent me a bunch of information because, Bruce, I didn't tell you, but I'm doing a documentary on Jack Britton. I've been doing a lot of reading on Jack Britton. I was struggling with some of the reading, so Hardline Boxing was nice enough to send me his notes. Like, he literally sent me his research, like to help me out. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of shortened it a little bit. But you know how I like to get real detailed with the era, because now I got to talk about Ted Kid Lewis and McFadden, McFarley. And all of them guys, Patty McFarley and all those type of guys. So it made it a little bit more difficult. You know what I'm saying? And Hardline Boxing Talk sent me his information through Scrapbook Boxing, and those guys, they helped me out a lot, man, because those guys, man, they have a lot of knowledge. They're really detailed historians. I think that they're the top 2 historians on YouTube. I think it's Scrapbook Boxing and Hardline Boxing Talk, because they know more about the previous eras than anybody else. And I don't mind even saying that they know more than me, because they do. There's more research, and those are the guys who know about eras that I don't know about very well, such as the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. And they could even take it back into the turn of the century. I know the basics. Those guys know more detailed information, whereas they did a lot of reading from that era. So you got to give the historians, since, we're talking Curtis Anderson. So, hey, this is the good time to give the other historians some credit for the stuff that they know and things like that, because Curtis Anderson respected other historians too. He appreciated it anytime we got onto a panel and somebody came on who could actually tell him about some of the old school fighters and things like, let's say, a Jack Britton or somebody like that, or Willie Pep or Sandy Saddler, or anybody from those previous eras, Ike Williams, Montgomery, Peter Jackson, all of those kind of guys, right? If they could talk about McVie and all them guys, Curtis Anderson respected that shit, man. He respected it. And one thing that a historian should never do is argue with another historian. You just have a discussion. You notice that the historians, we don't argue. We just have discussions. We don't argue about nothing, because it's rare to even have another guy who's interested in going into those archives of boxing and doing the research. So you have to respect the research, at least. There's other guys out there too that know boxing history. Intangible Boxing News is one of these guys. He's a younger guy, but he does a lot of reading. None of us was alive when Willie Pep was fighting Sandy Saddler and all of that stuff. We wasn't alive back in Jack Johnson's day and Joe Louis' day and stuff like that. Even you, Bruce, wasn't alive back then. So we always have to do the reading. You know what I'm saying? We have to do the research, and it takes work. That research is hard, man. I do it all the time. That stuff is time consuming. It takes a lot of time. So that's why I don't never disrespect another historian, because I've done it. I've done the reading, and they might have done reading in an area that I didn't do reading in. So I always respect them. I don't down talk no historian, because they're putting in the work, and it's not easy.
I'm 100 with you on that. Excuse me. What I like about you, Blood, is you can communicate. You can communicate on the same keel as the boxing librarian and Scrapbook. He does it too, but he bringing it down to the people, kind of like dumbing it up a little bit, I dare say. You know what I'm saying, man? You can make it like you were saying about the librarian. He talks over most people's heads, which I dig it, because I really have to pay super attention to that when I'm listening to him, and I have to write down the names, then go Google them afterwards. But you can comprehend that shit, and then you can put it out into a product that the hundreds and thousands of YouTubers will appreciate. Where he couldn't do it. Now he's got the information, but he doesn't have the talent to. I don't even know what we're gonna call it, but maybe dude. I don't know what we can say, but you're definitely a good user.
Yeah. You know, a lot of it just has to do with experience on dealing with the social media part of it, just being around for so long on social media. But you know what? When it really all comes down to it, man, more people are interested in kind of the TMZ gossip stuff that's in the atmosphere than in boxing history. I could sit there and I could bust my balls for 5 months on a documentary, and then I could put on some stupid video about my opinion on Deontay Wilder and go on a rant or something like that and get more views with the rant that I put no research into, that I did freestyle basically and put no thought into. You know, I just basically just came on at the, you know, just clicked on and just did the little silly rant. And it's kind of discouraging because I would spend 4 months on a documentary and not as many people would pay as much attention to that, to the solid research. But you know what? I still appreciate the fact that I'm able to just get the research out there, because I like those videos better coming from me. I like retro boxing and documentaries better than my other page, Blood Boxing.
I'll tell you that Ali series that you've been putting out lately. I mean, you know, I thought I knew most of the stuff that happened during that time, but you're coming out with these facts, these behind bedroom door secrets, man, that I've never heard before. Different, just, you know what I'm saying, bro? You're very, very in depth, very, very thorough, and you know, I don't know, I don't know how you can make them so interesting, and yet we're waiting for the next chapter. It's almost like a never ending series.
Oh yeah, that's gonna go on forever. What I just decided to do was just get all the information from the whole environment of the 1960s. Right now I'm in the 60s. So I just figured, hey man, why not add Eddie Machen and tell his story? Because nobody, or Ernie Terrell, because nobody's going to tell them stories, man. Nobody's going to talk about, you know, the other fighters that was at Sonny Banks, dying in a fight with Leotis Martin and stuff like that.
The only one in the hospital with him. That was so touching.
Yep. Like those stories need to be told, and nobody has ever told them on YouTube. Since I do have magazines and all of that kind of stuff, it just takes a lot of reading, you know, so I have to do a lot of reading and I have to take notes. And I literally, that's not no freestyle stuff. I literally have to bullet point and take notes to put that stuff in order. That's why it takes so long to get the next one out. And then I got to do the editing on top of that. And I started, you know, when Kurt passed away, I had started out that Marvin Hagler documentary, and Curtis was going to join me on that Marvin Hagler documentary, but he ended up passing away. So he never even got a chance to see my work on the Marvin Hagler documentary. He helped me out with some other stuff before that, and he was more than willing to help me out with the Marvin Hagler documentary and things like that. So it's just takes a lot of reading and stuff like that. Some other historians would know some of those stories, especially Scrapbook Boxing, because Scrapbook Boxing, he helps me out on a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't know, but it's like when I have a question about someone like Sonny Banks or someone like that, Scrapbook Boxing has done things like giving me the inside story on some of the stuff. He's also sent me pictures, some of the pictures that I've used. I've called him and asked him, can you send me a pic? I can't find a picture of this guy or that guy. And he will literally find it for me. And that's how you're supposed to do. You don't steal a historian's pictures, because one time someone stole some Scrapbook Boxing's pictures, and he wasn't too happy about that because he collected those scrapbooks for several years. You know what I'm saying? You have to ask somebody permission if they're giving you something different like that that's not on the internet and things like that. I think it's just courteous to ask, you know. So I ask, and he's a guy who will help you too. If you just ask him, he'll help you out, especially someone like me who he knows is doing research. So he's always been more than happy to to help me out by giving me a picture or giving me some information on who somebody is, because I'll ask them all the time. I don't know. I try not to bother him and become too, redundant and with and just be irritating and asking him. So I get as many questions as I can, and he's the guy who I feel comfortable to ask. Hey, do I got the right? There's been times I know there was one time there was one guy and I can't remember who it was, but I had sent the picture to him on the phone and I said, "Is this actually who the guy is?" to get his confirmation. Because you know how Google would pull up all kind of different pictures for one name. So I had to send him a picture to verify which one is the right picture and things like that. And he's the guy who could tell me which one is the right picture and things like that. So I appreciate him. Curtis Anderson used to help me like that too. So, I appreciate those historians, man. Those historians, man. And Curtis Anderson, man, he also was like a historian on hip hop too and music. He could even come on here and talk to you about jazz, right?
Oh, shit, yeah, man.
Talk about rock and roll, jazz, hip hop, R&B music. He loved the music a whole lot, and he would come on and he would come on to my show and talk for hours about old school music and stuff like that. So it was really fun. He was like, and he'll have interesting stories. Man, I remember one time when I was down in New Jersey, and he'll give you the story and all that kind of stuff. And I like talking to people like that who actually who got a story behind it too. That always makes it a little bit more interesting. And Bruce, you do it too. You'll tell us about, little time periods when you were selling black boxes and you've broken down stuff with a story before. And I appreciate that because it shows you have the experience, right?
Yeah, man.
Experience something in life rather than just read about it. So I like to hear about your stories when you say, "Hey, I was here. I listened to that fight on the radio back in 67 or 68 and stuff like that." I appreciate those kind of stories because that's like something that I don't have on a lot of these documentaries. I might not have a story attached to it, but you better believe I'm going to have every article that I could possibly find.
Well, you know what I admire about them too, brothers, is the editing. I mean, you could put all this stuff together. I mean, I could come out here and just talk for an hour, but you get the clips in there. You get the different shit that happened in that era. Different, that editing is that a hard thing to do? Is that you have to pull down stuff that was sent to you and put it on your computer and then put it into the video? Is that an easy or a difficult thing doing?
No, it's not an easy. It's easy, but it's time consuming because I have to go through articles sometimes and stuff like that in magazines, and I got tons of them, and I have to actually take pictures with my phone, and then I have to crop them and put them on my computer and time date them, time stamp them, and all kinds of stuff like that. I have to go digging through newspaper archives and all kinds of stuff like that, and clip stuff and put a date on each image and all kinds of stuff. But I pull it into a calendar, and I make it time sensitive. You just got to put the date on there. It's a lot of hard work. It's easy, but it's just time consuming. That's the thing, and that's why it takes so long to get another documentary out, because I'm not going to spend the whole day doing it. I'm going to only spend 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm just.
No, notice you put the timely music in the background too, like you're going back to 1968. Joe Frazier, and we're here.
Yeah. You know what I do for that, man, is and I stopped using the music on the last few because they started hitting me with the music strikes and stuff like that. So I try to find the royalty music that fits the era. So if I look up royalty-free music, I just put 1960s royalty music to go with 1960s commentary. I'm not going to put a 1980s retro tune.
No, man. I noticed that on those docs that you put out, because I've only been around YouTube for a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years at the most, and there's so much. You've been putting this stuff out for 10 years, 12 years, right. 14 years, and I'm checking this stuff out, and your voice isn't even the same as it is now, But
yeah, you're right. Yep, it's changed.
Yeah, no, just I noticed that with the timely music in there, and I mean and that's pretty cool that you do all that yourself, because most of those documentaries you see, you got a film editor, you got a music editor, you know, you got all different people that are involved in it, and to put that out yourself, that should be a freaking an award in itself.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. But I just try to get the music that fits the era. If I do 1980s stuff, I'm going to have 1980s retro tunes. If I'm going to do 1960s, it's going to be 1960s. When I did the Jack Johnson stuff, I use 1920s tunes and stuff. And if I can't find something from 1908, I'm going to find the closest decade to it. Maybe it's going to be 1920. If I can't find something from 1908, I'm going to find something from 1918 or 1919 or something like that. Because I want, you know what, my thing in a documentary is to try to get the user to live in that era, right? Because that's what, when I read the tips on how to make a documentary, first of all, they said that a person who narrates a documentary should never put his opinion in it. So I've gotten better at that, because in my earlier documentaries, I always threw my opinion in there. But as I learned more about it, what's that?
I heard you mention that a few times.
Yeah, as I learned more about it, I learned that the narrator should never have an opinion. So if you look at my latest ones that I made over the last year, I never give my opinion in the documentary. I just report the news as it was reported that day. I'll pull these interviews with Ollie and stuff to the very day, which that takes work too, to find the day that the interview happened, which I'm able to find this stuff. It just takes some real digging around, and I've gotten better at researching. So I'll go to the day. But I decided, looking at other documentaries on YouTube, that I didn't always need music, because, I mean, I look at other documentaries too, like on the planets, maybe documentaries on planets that are like the Earth and stuff, you know, just all kinds of different documentaries that I look at. And I noticed that some of them didn't use music. And the ones that were doing really good were ones that didn't have music. So I just decided, you know what, maybe I should abandon the music, because it's getting me copyright strikes, and I don't want to get a copyright strike after I spent 3 months doing research. I don't want to give my research dollar to someone else. So I'd rather just get the monetization for myself and keep the music out of it. Because if I put music in there, it might be royalty free this month, but 5 months from now, it might not no longer be royalty free. And that's what they do on YouTube.
Oh, really? I didn't know. I mean, that's what I'm playing in the background now. Royalty-free jazz.
You know, it's funny though, Bruce, how you're playing that royalty-free jazz. Just because it shows up as royalty-free now, in another year, they might, the person who made that might decide that they want to claim copyrights, and that's what happened to me. That happened to me with my Marvin Hagler documentary and Pernell Whitaker, and the Heavyweight series. The music was royalty-free when I posted it. But you know, it changed 8 or 9 months later, and now somebody's getting then all the research that I put in, the money goes to them as soon as just because I use their tune. So that's how it works. So now the research that I put in, just because I use one of their tunes for 5 minutes, they get all the money from the documentary. So, which is crazy. So I stopped using it. Stop using the music.
You live and learn, bro. I mean, and you can't make arrangements with the people for the music to like a 50-50 split or something like that.
Right.
No, they take it all. They take all the royalty on that video.
YouTube is now trying to do something different to where they have to split the money with you, but they're only doing that for select tracks. So I just decided, since they decided to work this thing out to where you could get where they only take a percentage, because I don't know who's going to be making their music, who's going to place a copyright on their music 2 years from now. I just decided to just scratch it. It does take away a little bit from the documentary, but you know what, man, I don't care, man. I just want to tell the story and get it out there, because that Ali documentary is going to go on for a few hundred episodes by the time I'm done with his career, because just to cover 2 months of his career, that could be a 3-hour documentary, because I'm covering the whole atmosphere of the heavyweight division. So a 3-hour documentary will only cover like 3 or 4 months. So that it's going to be by the time I'm done with that thing and I get to the year of 1981 or something, I'll probably have around 300-400 of those things out, or maybe even more, which I don't mind doing, man, because I think that there has to be something out there to give back to the history of boxing. You know, I'm going to have to get you involved in some of them too, Bruce. I got to get you on some documentaries, man.
Hey,
I'll send you a timeline too. I do it really good, man. I used to do it with Curtis and them. I've done it with Scrapbook Boxing. I'll send you exactly what I'm talking about. I'll send you a timeline of the fights, and then you could just fill it in with whatever you want. I could even send you the articles to read for yourself. I'll just send them through the email. You know, you could read the articles and you could report it how you want to report it, man. But I would like to get you involved in a couple of those, man. You know, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but, you know, you give me 10 minutes here or there, that'd be cool, you know.
Dude, I get time I have plenty of, bro. You know,
Okay, well, I'm going to keep that in mind. And, you know, maybe we'll get you in on the next one. I'll send you, I'll show you how I do them. You know, I'll send you it's an outline, and I'll send it to you, and I'll show you exactly how I do it, and I'll just send it to you through your email.
Well, I'll tell you, man, my specialty, the era that I was totally engulfed in boxing was that I pretty much would call myself on par with any historian would be 1975 to 1990, and even into the 90s. But this was 15 years that boxing was number one in my life. And it was a hard time there was no internet, so you had to buy magazines. You had to go to newspaper stores and look through the New York Times, just look at the sports section to see if there was a little boxing article in there, so you didn't have to buy the whole newspaper. You know, it was a different era, but those are the times like the Saad Muhammad eras. You know, the glorious fucking that light heavyweight with Victor Galindez and Miguel Cuello.
Oh yeah, man, that's a great era, man.
Yeah, they were banging in that era, man. And, you know, the middleweights. It was a little before Hagler, but it was after Monzon had retired. So you had Valdez and you had Hugo Coro.
Yeah, Hugo Coro and Rodrigo them. Yep.
Yeah, Alan Minter and Antifermo. Those guys, they were just putting on bloodbath. And it was, but that's the era. I was buying every magazine, and I could pretty much name you the top 10 in the WBA, the WBC, and every weight division back then. That's how much engulfed in boxing I was. Hans, shout out my brother. Thank you for coming by, man. My brother Carl Hansen, if you're still out there, man. Shout out to you. But yeah, those are the eras that I just loved. I fell in love with boxing, and when I found out that you could watch it again on YouTube, and then I found out people are talking about it. It was like, wow, this is like so cool. And but then I got more involved in the different aspects of current boxing. You know, like you said, man, I wasn't paying attention to trainers and promoters. You know, behind the scenes action. You know, that was pretty foreign. You're lucky if you get information on the fighters. So this was a whole new thing to me. This internet boxing, I find it real interesting, and to find guys like you and, man, you know, Scrapbook and Curtis and, you know, the cats who are just so knowledgeable and just blow me away as far as boxing goes. It's just I love it, man. This is what keeps me coming on almost daily.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, me too, man. I've always enjoyed YouTube ever since it's been around, and I've always preferred the channels that talk about some boxing history. The more boxing history they talk about, or the more they're able to reflect back on the good old days of boxing, the more interested I am in the platform always. Because there's not very many platforms that are like that. You know, a lot of the platforms that are the newer platforms now, they prefer to find 2 or 3 fighters and just pretty much talk about them the whole time. I like to mix it up when it comes to boxing. I like to hear people's thoughts on 100 years ago and things like that. and I actually enjoy doing the research and doing the reading too. Like right now, I have boxing magazines ready to go right now in front of me, man, that I'm going to start looking at, and you know, for the Ali documentary and stuff like that. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you, man. I'm going to send you. Give me a couple of days, and I'll send you through the mail what I'm going to talk about in the next one, and I'll send you some articles and see what you think about some of that stuff.
Yeah, I was living through that era, so I will definitely know. I'll let you know what I was doing and my thoughts on it. Because when I get into Ali, where I can speak to it on a personal basis during his second career, you know, after the exile. Before that, I watched him, but I wasn't an in-depth fan. So I really couldn't. I don't think I could share anything to anybody who knows much about it. But after he came back from retirement, I was a fucking super fan, from Jerry Quarry all the way up to frickin' Trevor Berbick. I mean, I watched every one of those fights.
I'll tell you, man. I've been learning a lot about guys like Jerry Quarry, and the information that I'm receiving right now in the 1965 magazines. I was surprised at how much information was on guys from the 70s, like Jerry Quarry and Buster Mathis and Oscar Bonavina and guys like that, because they were just coming into the game. Joe Frazier, those guys started appearing in boxing magazines as early as 1965 and things like that. But they're amateurs coming and making their pro debut, and Jerry Quarry being a national Golden Gloves champion, knocking out 5 guys in a row, and they were unconscious. 2 of them was unconscious for over 3 minutes. When I read these stories, they're very interesting to me because it gives me more respect for guys like Jerry Quarry. And then I also respect Ali for coming back and fighting a guy like Jerry Quarry after his exile, because Jerry Quarry was by no means no bum fighter. This guy was a national Golden Gloves champion. And there's some things like that I didn't know about Jerry Quarry. So you won't know unless you do the research.
He was the number one WBA contender too, I believe.
Yeah. He fought Oscar Bonavina, the strongman from out of Argentina. A lot of people, they don't really, when they see that name, they just think, okay, because there's not a lot of his fights on YouTube. There's not very many Oscar Bonavina fights. There's probably not very many out there surfacing at all, really. So it's, I try to big up the era so people can understand that, hey, these guys got a long history with the sport of boxing.
But I was an Ali fan during that era. Except for Mike 202, my brother. Shout out to you, man. Peace and blessings, my man. Always a pleasure to see you here, my brother. But the Oscar Bonavina Ali fight, man, there was magic in boxing, man. Oscar Bonavina taunted Ali, called him a queer chicken. Ali brought a grubber chicken to a press conference. Ali was so mad. Ali said, I've never been as mad as anybody but you. I'm going to beat you up. Ali didn't knock him out in the round he predicted. Because Bonavina.
No, he didn't. He predicted the 9th round, I think, right? And he almost got stopped in the 9th round his damn self.
Oh, what a fight, man. What a fight. And, Ali finally knocked him out. And I think it was the 15th round, the last round. Knocked him down 3 times, and we see that thrill of victory with Ali standing with his hands up in victory over the fallen Bonavina. That was the wide world of sports symbol. For their introduction for years. They had that poor skier that went off the side of the building, the agony of defeat. But they had Ali standing there with his hands up with the thrill of victory. But Bonavina, I mean, he had some great fights. Joe Frazier twice.
He floored Frazier.
Exactly, man. He was a tough guy. He died at a whorehouse in Nevada, in Reno, Nevada. I mean, he was another guy at 30 years old. His career was pretty much over. That's why these fighters today, man, they have to be more active if they want to fight for legacy. If Usyk wants to be the greatest heavyweight in the world, he's got to fight more heavyweights than just Anthony Joshua and what he fought before that. Nobody of note. So that's what I mean. It's taking lessons from these guys. And my woodshop teacher in high school, he was a boxing, a big boxing fan, a big boxing addict, and he used to talk about it. And I was the only one who paid attention to him. So he would always tell me things about boxing that I didn't know. And he would tell me, watch out for this guy Joe Frazier, man. This guy's like Marciano, because he saw Marciano. He was that, from that era. He said, you pay attention to this Joe Frazier. This kid is another Marciano, and he was right. And at the time, you were saying something about that. Listening to these old guys, that's how you learn. And it's funny because nothing in boxing anymore is new. These guys think that there's new stuff happening. This Tyson Fury pulling out with the headbutt, with the cut and everything. This stuff all happened before. You listen to guys like Blood Boxing, man, and you'll understand it. You'll get a little bit of a knowledge for the game, and you'll see that this stuff is par for boxing.
It's ongoing cycle, man. Yeah.
It is, man. It is.
Yeah.
Hey, Blood, I've been here for 2 hours, bro. It's been awesome
Yes.
partying with you. I don't want to keep you any longer, bro. I know it's Friday night, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over here to my brother's house, man. I'm gonna go and watch this. I don't know if you watch this, Bruce, man. I know you sometimes watch things off of outside of boxing, but they got this series going on HBO, man. It's about the Lakers dynasty, and it's got like Magic Johnson and all them guys in it, Larry Bird. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but it sounds interesting because I was into NBA basketball for 76, 77, 78, 79, and then I just kind of faded away from it. Well, maybe a little more in the 80s too, but
let me tell you what it's called though, because I want you to watch it because it's really good, man. It's called Winning Time: The Rise of a Dynasty, and it's on the whole thing with when Magic Johnson first signed with the Lakers. And they go
Larry Bird with Boston. Yeah. Those guys had a feud in college, bro. Indiana and Michigan. That's when I was a boxing fan, man. And yeah, that's you had Dr. J in the league at the time. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's when I was an NBA fan. But I will definitely check it out, bro. I'll tell you what I've been doing now besides boxing, man. I never watched The Sopranos before, but I'm seeing all these shows pop up in my feed, and they're interesting. So I said, I'm going to go back and watch The Sopranos. I'm into season 4 right now.
Wow. I watched the whole thing when it was out. You're going to love it, man. You're going to just keep watching.
I already do, bro. I grew up in Rhode Island in the 80s, and, Raymond Petrarca.
I'm surprised you never watched The Sopranos, bro.
I had too much going on. I'm not a big TV man. I had too much going on. I dug the music. I'd watch a movie, but I never get into the series. I always thought it'd be too corny because I grew up in Rhode Island, and we are the fucking Raymond Petrarca family, man. I saw that stuff really happening. So this is kind of like I'm comparing it to real life, and it is kind of real life. Like I said, I'm up to episode 8 in season 4. I got to write it down because I'll forget the episode I'm on. But yeah, man, that's what I've been watching the past week. And it's wicked interesting, bro.
Man, I love that. I need to go back and watch it again one day, but I was watching it while it was going on, though. I was into it big time. I love that show, man. It was always really interesting, man. But if you want to get away from it, you want to get into another series, that series is going on. It's not a documentary. It's actually a movie type. They've got right now they're in season 2. Season 1 is over with. Season 1 and season 2. The whole thing is posted on HBO playback. You could see the whole thing, and I'm sure you could find it because you have all those sites where you can find it. It's called Winning Time of the Lakers Dynasty or something. It's really good, man. I've really enjoyed it a whole lot. And they go back in the movie. You see all them old cars from the big cars from the 1970s and all kinds of stuff like that. They really did a really good job with the production on this one, man. So yeah, check that one out too, man. But I'm gonna let you go, Bruce, and I'll talk to you a little bit later. Hey, anything coming on tomorrow? Any fights?
Yeah, there is, man. There's let's see. Just give me 1 second. Let me
Okay.
pull them up. There is a card going on. Let me get into my schedule here. I think they're both in the afternoon too. They're both in the UK. Let's see here, man. Oh, yeah, we got Buatsi and AZ.
Okay.
You know, Joshua Buatsi, that's in London, and Nigel Benn, Connor Benn rather. Connor Benn's fighting some dude named Dobson, 3 p.m. So they're both kind of at the same time. So it's weird having two fights in the afternoon going back to back. But yeah, it's definitely. I think I'd rather watch the Connor Benn, the Nigel Benn fight.
Yes, sir. I will be watching that.
Definitely.
All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you a little later. Thanks for having me on, big bro. And R.I.P. to Curtis Anderson, man.
Thank you for coming on, Blood. Peace out, man. Like that. Thank you for coming in, my man. And thank you much for Blood Boxing coming over here, bro. Chopping it up with me, talking about everything, man. Cool stuff, man. I could go on. I could talk to Blood forever. Hey, Lance, brother, how we doing, man? I appreciate it. You know, this is basically to honor Curtis Anderson, who was just such a cool guy that I know he'd be over here talking to us, just like we're just rapping some good boxing over here, man. And I've been here for over 2 hours. Maybe I should get up and do something else. Enjoying my water, Blood, from the tumbler. And once again, thanks for coming up here. Almost time to fill the glass. But yeah, I think I'll probably go on, check out a few other YouTubes, see what's happening on YouTube. But you know, that's one thing, Blood. If I wasn't bopping around on YouTube all day, I'd be able to watch these documentaries and these movies. I definitely have more of a life, but I'm kind of addicted to being on YouTube, bro. I like not so much going on other people's channels. I like just going, listening to them, being in the panel and stuff, and coming on here and doing my thing while I can. But I appreciate everybody that came in here today, man. All my friends over there on Facebook, I appreciate those thumbs up that I got. And about time to bail out of here. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. I'm gonna bring up my man. Yeah, see, this music I'm listening to. It says royalty-free jazz, but then Blood's telling me that they might tack a royalty on there. So hey, we'll see what happens, man. I just want to get the watch hours in here now, man. That's one thing I can't get. I got plenty of subs and I got plenty of videos out, but I don't have the watch hours. So I guess doing the live is the only way to get them and putting out videos and stuff. Anyway, man, thank you, cats, for coming in here. I'm out of here.
Shout out Bruce Gas, aka Coca 2. You know I had to drop a track with my boy. Where you at? Yeah, been here rapping boys out till the baby. I'm the hardest nigga, I ain't signed to no label. Hey, Bruce Gas put no fights on the tape. Calling that boxing since Kane versus Abel. Smoking so much gas, you would think that shit was fatal. I don't know if he was simple like Muhammad Ali. Shut up, Bruce Gas, one day we gon' meet. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, we gon' smoke hella weed. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, take a hit out the Toka 2. Slipping hella shots, feel like Tyson with the people. Little Glock on my side, but it hit just like Icy Cruz. Shut up, man, chat, real shit, that's my fucking dude. We always cooking on the panel. Strapped to my side, I ain't talking about no sin. Bruce passed me the blunt, I'ma light it like a candle. Hey, non-stop bars, man, I always spit flames. Bruce Cats always got a different strain. Bitch, you ain't like me, you could never feel my pain. You win and you lose, well, this a fight game. Don't beef on the net and the shit won't change. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the game. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the chat. I ain't undisputed. Yeah, hold on, I ain't undisputed, but I want all the straps.